been no shortage of stuff to keep you busy within Black Ops 4, whether you're going for dark matter and multiplayer, whether you're going for character missions in Blackout, whether you're going for zombies challenges and zombies. There's a lot to keep you busy here with this, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about this game in particular, is that there's so much to do, it always keeps you involved. Now, when I take a look at things like Blackout, I'm a huge fan of the character missions. You guys know that I love Blackout probably, and we're very, very close to having everything done in terms of those character missions unlocked or given to us from Treyarch that we can go out and search for ourselves. And also, on the multiplayer side, it's convenient that we are just talking about different cosmetics and things that could add a little more value to the supply stream system and what we end up seeing in that contraband stream. So today I want to take a little bit of a laid-back approach and kind of discuss two different topics here with you on what the mystery is of the final 4 characters within Blackout that we have yet to see, or kind of did see but have yet to unlock. And also I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what may be the future of some of these cosmetic items within the supply stream system and what we end up seeing coming out of that, either immediately or somewhat in the near future. So let's just jump right into it. Let's start on the Blackout end, because this is honestly really curious to me, the entire situation at hand. As of recently, you may have seen some talk and chatter on Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, wherever it may be, about people searching for the character quest lines and character unlocks for Nikolai, Richtof, and Takiao and Dempsey. Previously, these were actually available in the game via the character selection screen, in which it said that you could unlock them via the character quest line. Those were our last 4 of the characters that we needed before every character in Blackout was unlockable or obtainable in some way, shape, or form. We ended up starting out with Ajax, and then we moved on to Crash after an update with Recon and Torque. Then another update added in the Specialists of Ruin, Battery, Firebreak, Seraph, Prophet, and Nomad. And then after that, we saw the progression went through Bruno, Diego, Scarlet, and Shaw in conjunction with the Blightfather in-game event. And a few days after that, we saw the introduction of what we call the Icon, or as I like to call them, the Legacy characters in Blackout. And that was the characters of Reznov, Mason, Woods, and Menendez, and those ones, side note, are insanely tough, man. Those are probably gonna take a lot of people a long time to get all of them if you don't grind them out entirely just for going for those challenges. But other than that, we had Hudson available at tier 199 of the contraband stream. We ended up having the Shadow Man as the Black Ops Pass first character granted with that, and then we also had Ranger, Frogman, Airborne, Seal, and Battle Hardened as those characters for your echelon rank as you rank up through 20, 40, 60, 80, and 80 prestige. So those only ones that we were missing were the Nikolai, Richtof, and Takiao and Dempsey. But as of, I believe it was Tuesday's update, we ended up getting an introduction that said that these were unlockable, except they weren't. It stated that they were unlockable, but no items were ever actually spawning in that would help complete that quest line or really give the indication that there was a quest line actually available. Now, some unfortunately sent players on a bit of a wild goose chase, as some of the items in game are supposedly tethered to other things that were data mined in terms of challenge information. We don't have the actual quest to confirm nor deny, so bear that in mind that the information that we're going to talk about here in a second isn't solidified or set in stone. It's something that was data mined from a very early build of the game from, I believe, back in, I think, the Blackout beta, if I'm not mistaken. So these challenges could be subject to change, but we ended up seeing the mention of things like Richtofen being more than likely tethered to the ray gun and a kill emplacement challenge there with that one. Nikolai apparently was tethered to the monkey bomb challenge, but again, those are speculative and unconfirmed. Things also pointed to Dempsey having a death machine, so maybe that's something we'd look forward to coming in either a supply drop late game or in one of the zombie spawns. And I can't recall off the top of my head what the reference for Tax quest line was, but these sent players on a wild goose chase, because while they're speculative and unconfirmed, they didn't really stop players from attempting them because the items were already in game. So the downside to this unintentional, air quote, publishing of these characters saying they're live is that players probably tried these for hours. Some may have completed them, some may not have, but to no reward at all. Now, the update to this was that this was actually patched in a stealth manner, probably out of Friday's smaller weekend playlist update, or potentially even on Thursday's update that fixed a small amount of things on console and also went live with PC's update as well. But when you take a look at it now, it does say they are locked and the character missions are unavailable, and they'll probably be locked up until a point that probably isn't too far off in the future, but they're locked up again, no less. Now, if I were to try and make sense of this, honestly, I think it just stems from a mistake. I think that these were not supposed to go live until a later point, but they went live earlier than scheduled, and so therefore were relocked as to not bring so much attention to it. Now, granted, you and I may have known about this, but the next person may not. So in that sense, by stealth patching it, it kind of brings it back to a regular schedule and what was initially planned, rather than bringing a super big uproar to it. And again, if I were to guess, I'd say we're probably due up for them very shortly here. out of this. And if this goes in any way, shape, or form, how in my mind I'm kind of thinking about this is that I think that we get all these characters done during this first season, and maybe we get some more added in as, say, Operation Second Strike for theory's sake. That's obviously not going to be the name of the next season for the Contraband stream, but maybe when that gets updated, we get 4 to 8 to 12 new characters and different challenges associated with those within Blackout. So if that's the case, expect those rather soon so we can round out this season, but I also expect those to be coming no less, even if that idea doesn't happen. But moving on into the next part of what I want to talk about here today is something that really caught my eye and is either already in place or something we're seeing coming up soon, because it's interesting when you take a look at it, and we'll explain why, but there are multiple variations of what is going to be discussed here, that some are already in game, some are not. So we'll see just which ones these are, and perhaps you guys know, maybe you guys have them. I know that I don't have any up on deck, but Matt Schrontz, who's a senior game designer over at Treyarch, ended up actually tweeting something about his favorite uniforms within Black Ops 4, and they don't look all that familiar, at least not to me. Now the tweet goes, Fave's Seraph Crimson Lotus Empress and Ajax Caesar Praetorian outfits, with the images attached that we see on screen right now. Now the reason that I bring this up, in which I'm slightly confused right off the bat, is that there are multiple variations of pretty much every uniform that you see in Black Ops 3. If you take a look at the game files, there's about 2 to 3 variations of each, and that's why you start to see subtle differences and why you see those comparisons of one is an epic item and one is a rare item that you end up getting, but they're exactly the same almost. That's where that ideology starts to come into play, and why it might be harder to actually discern if this is something coming up in a tease for new uniforms or if it's something already in play. But I bring this up not necessarily because of that factor alone, but because there's also still a bunch of different uniforms like this that have been data mined from the earliest builds of the black market that we have still yet to see, and one of them even including a new Augur DMR signature variant, which again, we have yet to see. We've had people out there that have gotten all the way up to, I think, tier 934 or something like that, and granted those tiers go forever until you end up completing every single one, so it could go to 900, it could go to 1200. The person that just completed the reserves ended up finishing it around that 930 mark. So that's not the complete end game, but there are about 800 to 900 items within that reserve system. And out of that, I haven't heard anything about this new Augur DMR signature variant. Where it breaks down to be a little more interesting is the fact of how this might be carried out, because we see all these variants in terms of uniforms and things that may very well make it into another season, if you want to call it that, or the next operation within Black Ops 4 and the reserves within that. But they also make their way over into Black Ops 4's Blackjack market, maybe even both, a sort of double dip, if you will, which I don't think would work out very well at all, because if somebody randomly gets something and they buy it already a week before, that's not gonna bode well for consumer confidence. But where it also piques my interest is that if this is how we're going to see weapons actually dealt with within the content system within Black Ops 4. We can almost guarantee that we're going to have DLC weapons throughout the year, having it started within Black Ops 2 and slowly steamrolling up to where it was with Black Ops 3, with Ghost and Advanced Warfare honestly not having the worst systems. You just had to pay outright for that, but you had the option to end up getting it. Black Ops 3 though took it a step further and really just ruined the system, putting DLC weapons in supply drops with a loot pool of thousands of items. That's kind of what it looks like to me if we're going to see signature variants here out of this. Now, that could just be signature variants, and that's a completely different beast in its own, because that doesn't alter gameplay experience. That's just a cosmetic change that is available out of an item you can get via RNG. But if they place DLC weapons simply in reserves, that's gonna take this supply drop system and amplify it even more, because if new weapons drop with a brand new operation with 200 tiers and they're only out of reserves, you're probably gonna firstly start off getting your first reserve around tier 6 or 7. Then after that, you're gonna see them intermittently throughout that, so it's going to start an entire bidding war essentially, where people are going to try and get these first thing. And that to me is not a way that I wanna see Black Ops 4 go. So while this all stems potentially from just something that's already in game, the fact is still out there that data mined things still are in play and have yet to be released, and it might hint towards how we end up seeing the supply stream system go forward in the future. And it's treading kind of a fine line that I think is too early to condemn it, but also too early to praise how the system may work. So I guess we'll see in time how this all works out, but definitely coming back to the initial point that is the catalyst for this entire discussion on this end, those uniforms are honestly sick, and I hope they do come if they're not already out. I do hope that they do make their way over into maybe Blackjack's shop or something that maybe I can get randomly out of reserves. I'd be totally cool with that, just grinding out my tier 200 still. But perhaps this also plays into something that's coming up, a little tease for this upcoming week. Maybe there's an update like that happens, but who knows? Your guess is as good as mine, but that's what we're gonna call it here at this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think firstly is the reasoning with these Blackout characters? Do you think it was something that was unintentional and just a mistake? Or is there something else that you think here was a reason for these to unlock and then relock within Blackout? And also, what are your thoughts on these items that we saw potentially teased here for the future of Black Ops 4's Contraband stream? And what do you think about the discussion we had also going along those lines? Love to get your thoughts, so let me know anything down there in the comment section down below that's on your mind. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. If you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, multiplayer, Blackout, zombies, you name it, we got you covered here on the channel. So any that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those, so those links are in the description below. Well, that's that out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.